Shoots and Ladders, NXT State of the Union. Hey everyone, my name is Jason.
I'm Desiree Josen.
All right, for the first time, we're actually going to be tackling NXT. The growth of NXT, now that they're moving to CW, what does that mean? And just the overall state of the union. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the rising stars of NXT, how they go to the main rosters, how sometimes some of the guys in the main rosters get called down, and how this is an efficient system, very similar to the minor leagues in baseball. So one thing I will want to point out, one thing that I've seen, pretty much anyone that has been on fire on NXT that has been called up has kind of risen to that occasion, and they made their mark on the WWE main roster. What do you have to say about that?
I love the idea of NXT. It's just a highly elevated performance center. And it's very similar to their idea of OVW, of what they did in the early 2000s, because I know NXT is been out since 2010, and has produced an immense amount of talent. And also, I like to say that's also thanks to Shawn Michaels.
I knew you were saying that.
For being what is he now? A senior VP of like talent development creative. So he's got his hands on them, and I think that is the best guy for them to be one-on-one with, to help guide in the ring and in promos. So, I mean, this show has produced so much great people like Rhea, Becky, Seth, you name it. Everybody's been on it, even if they've jumped back and forth. But
exactly. And Braun Breaker's the latest addition to the call up. So the other thing where you just kind of pointed out, so it's producing stars left and right. Anyone that has caught fire in NXT has been elevated and kind of ran with that ball. In addition to that, because they get to work on their promos, their skill sets, working on different moves, it's basically a pilot test to see what works and what doesn't. So I love the minor league system overall in baseball. I think of all sport, football is my favorite sport. Obviously, I wish football had a minor league system. Some people argue that's college. I disagree. I actually wish there was a genuine minor league system. You get to kind of experiment more and see.
I would think that would be like arena football.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. I mean, it is a semi-pro for sure. But absolutely. But look, the thing is, this is important for a lot of the growth and development. And again, to see kind of what works. And to your point, a ton of talent has been elevated to the main roster. And it's just been a phenomenal transition.
Yeah. I love it.
All right. Speaking of up and coming stars, Joey Hendry is probably the most hyped NXT superstar that I can possibly think of. He's getting so much feature. I mean, they're constantly teasing it. I think it's only a matter of time until he gets elevated to the main roster. What do you think about him?
I'm going to be honest. I had no idea who he was until they blasted him all over social media. And it was just because of his entrance. and those things will make somebody. And every time you hear his music, he gets a pop, and it's so awkward and so funny about how he turns around and smiles, and he's so goofy. But what I love on NXT specifically is Booker T's response to him every time he comes out. It's just like he's making fun of him, but I love it. But that's what I'm talking about. It's not just wrestling and the sport, it's social media now that's getting this pop. And that's what got me turned on to him. I was like, who is this Joe guy? And I can so see him jumping ship to WWE very soon.
Absolutely. And once he does, he's going to be, if I had to guess, he'll probably have a very similar, just kind of run like Braun Breaker. They're going to give him the Intercontinental title and eventually be the main event. So, but this also just goes to show you how important this is, kind of what you just said as far as the social media presence. And if you notice, NXT, they're allowed to experiment a little bit more, and they're allowed to have more fun. I think they're given more creative control on their social handles and stuff like that, which is a huge factor.
And that's what I follow more is, I'm going to be honest, I don't watch a lot of NXT. I don't really know what's going on. However, I follow a lot of them on social media, like the Legal Eagle and all of them. And and they're just so funny on Instagram and their shorts. And that's what's getting me interested in them.
Yeah, it's a brilliant marketing campaign, and
Yeah.
it's connecting to the audience. So,
Yep.
all right. Now, the other thing we kind of want to talk about is you now have guys from the main roster, very prominent names, most notably CM Punk, Randy Orton, that are going on NXT and making their presence known, which is elevating a lot of the NXT guys and just actually giving it more viewership. I think this is a brilliant move. What about you?
I love it. I love that idea because it's getting fans like us who are regular Raw and SmackDown watchers to go and watch NXT. And that's what I plan. It's in my calendar right now in October when Randy's going to be on there so I can watch, whatever he's going to do. But I know it's just going to put over that other guy. So that guy, it's going to be such magic. But I mean, even the Bloodline was on there just a few weeks ago. And I just love when they cross over like universes, and it's just so cool. I love it. It's only going to make both brands grow.
Yeah, everything you just said, I completely agree with. Kind of this actually rolls over to the next point. They are now moving the show to CW. So giving this type of boost, which I think will actually give the show a lot of momentum, which will just help the overall show. And obviously, this is happy news for CW.
Yeah. No, I think it's just going to bring more people. They're just going to accidentally come across it and be like, what is this? And then bam, they're going to be a fan.
1,000,000%. Exactly what you said. The other thing, too, what I want to point about CW, I'd say for the most part, they focus a lot on the comic book characters, but mainly the series. The Flash was on forever. Green Lantern, they briefly did a Batman, stuff like that. Now, here's the thing. A lot of comic book fans, you and I are two of them, actually are wrestling fans. So people that may have not, for whatever reason, kind of tuned into both, if they see a show, especially like NXT, that almost acts a little bit more independent and it's something that they haven't seen before, I think you are going to attract a new fan base. So I think this is a brilliant move overall.
And I sort of see like a nice little gray area of how it is similar because of the storylines, the characters, and the
Exactly.
villain. I think they'll love it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, next thing, and this is something that you and I both talked about. We talked about this on previous podcasts. What makes any show is how hot the crowd is. And
Mhm.
the NXT crowds are rabid. I love it. This is what makes the show. And so, what's brief history about this? Remember, originally, this was ECW, and ECW transformed into NXT.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the same rabid fan base from ECW, I don't think actually left. You were talking about people drinking beer with the wrestlers and just, I mean, going crazy. And again, it's a smaller venue, so it kind of feels like that independent show. Hats off to the crowd. I love this crowd. What about you?
I think they are so much fun. I know that they do their filmings in the studio in Orlando, and it's a smaller crowd, and they are wild. They are feral. I've been to they travel around and do house shows for NXT all through Florida. Luckily, it is right down the street from my house, and I go every time they're in town. They are literally one street down from me, and it is the coolest and it's so much fun. It's small. It's a really small venue and they get into it. It is so much fun and you get one-on-one time with the talent and it's literally only like 3 rows and they have their chants. It is so much fun. If you can go to an NXT show, go to it.
I 1,000% agree on that. It's so much fun. I even know people that aren't even the biggest wrestling fans that I've talked about just how much
Oh
fun
yeah.
it is because it just gets rowdy.
And it's affordable. So
Very affordable. We are all about that in this podcast. We are unashamed about that. We want to make things affordable, not just for us, but for everyone because we work just like you.
right.
All right, cool. And now the growth of NXT. I kind of said it. I think you're attracting a new fan base because the fact that it is going to CW, because they are actually promoting some of these bigger guys to make appearances on the NXT show. I think this is going to have sustained growth overall. I don't know how much. I'm not necessarily saying it's going to be in the same level as Raw or SmackDown, but I think this is a brilliant move, and I could definitely see this just being continually to grow.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't see it being as big as Raw and SmackDown. It has potential, but I think it should remain smaller just because I think it's such great practice for the new talent coming in. And even for those that are a little rusty that need to work on, going back to the basics, if you throw them back for, a couple of shows or, I just think it's such a great experience. And it's just like we said, it's a highly elevated, like independent promotion with more hands-on. So
Yeah.
I love it. I think it's successful and I need to watch more of it, to be honest.
Well, look, now that it's on the CW, maybe you will. I'm sure I
Yeah.
will too. Listen, that actually wraps up this episode. What do you think? Do you like the move of NXT to CW? What do you like about the current state of it? Please like, share, and subscribe on both YouTube and Spotify. Please DM us at the Shoots and Ladders. Once again, my name is Jason.
I'm Desiree Josen.
Until next time, have a great day.
Bye, friends.